Hi friends, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel, and this is your daily news fix. Today we'll be talking about some words coming from the Fed, life in the USA, and right to repair, which is a really fascinating topic. So let's just jump right in. Headline: Barkin and Bostic say full impact of rate hikes to come. Still not seeing the full effect. So basically, as you guys know, interest rates are, I think it's like a 22-year high, something like that. And they're just saying, hey, we may still see slowdowns and slowdown in inflation coming, so we don't have to do anything now. Their actual quotes, though, I'll just read it for yourself so you can see it here. It says, inflation is going to get to 2%. This is coming from Bostic. The other person is Barkin, again, they're both of the Fed. We will keep restrictive policy until that happens, or until we are sure that is going to happen. So again, they're going for that 2%. Moreover, coming from Barkin, the other person at the Fed, I believe there's a slowdown coming. I believe we're going to need that slowdown because I think that's what it's going to take to convince price setters that days of pricing power are over. So the question I pose to you is, when you think about this kind of stuff, when you go to the store or when you make a major purchase in your life, do you care about price? Like, are you price sensitive, or will you just pay any price? Meaning that, for example, if you have a choice between price of, say, chicken or beef or pork, do you go with the cheapest one, or do you go which flavor you prefer? So I actually do like all three, but however, I just, my personal opinion on this stuff, my wife and I, we go to the store and we look at the price of stuff, and it's like, well, I'm fine with chicken today. Okay, nope, today I'm fine with pork. Oh, beef's on sale with beef. So we tend to be price sensitive. So I'd be curious if you guys are the same, or if you just prefer one meat or the other. I think that's just a really fascinating thing to talk about. The other thing too is Ken Griffiths is giving another point of view. He's saying, hey, I think high inflation is going to last for decades. So this is coming from the private sector. Moreover, this was actually an interesting one. I'll read the headline. Black Swan Fund Manager says, start worrying when the Fed cuts rates. The basic idea is, okay, what got us in this mess in the first place is lots of printing of money. And if we go back to that, we're going to have the problem yet again. So, this is something that is tricky on Wall Street / financial money managers, etc., is because they're so used to the free money coming in. This could be the banking industry as well. So like, if you're in the, say, mortgage industry or real estate, you want those little interest rates so people keep buying, these things keep going. But the problem is inflation, right? So, how do we wean the economy off of this free money? And the thing that's interesting is the mortgage rates are actually going down a bit. It's at 7.5%. You can see here, decline was the biggest for a single week since last November. So we're seeing just so much volatility in the markets. Makes me feel like it's unhealthy still. So yes, I understand that. Hey, the Fed is saying this, and that they think everything's going to be rosy, etc. But I just feel like these big moves that we've been seeing, and it's been like this for the last couple of years, just crazy moves. And also, guys, like, I track the dollar as well. It is up and down quite a bit. I mean, it usually currency doesn't move that much either. So I just think this sort of is a how can I say, emblematic of the crazy times that we're in and the unstable times that we're in. Moreover, talking about instability, I should say, not instability, instability. The Republicans had their debate. I guess there's only 5 of them left. I haven't been tracking it that closely. I know who these people are, but I just haven't been. Evidently, word on the street is that Vivek and then, what's the other guy's name? Is it Tim Scott? Yeah, Vivek and Tim Scott. They may be on their way out. Essentially, as you go through this thing, you do polling data, et cetera, and you figure out who's consolidating. So at the moment, it's Chris Christie, DeSantis, and Nikki Haley. The person who's obviously missing from the Republican debate is Donald Trump. In my personal opinion on this, I've said this several times, I think the whole thing is a joke if you have a political party who's having debates, but yet, like, the leading candidate, not just one of the candidates, but the leading candidate doesn't come to debate. Like, what's the point of a debate? So it's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. Moreover, I watched a few of the highlights. It is what it is. The Fox News is having a tough time trying to figure out how to make of it. I think they're kind of pushing Trump. But what's interesting, though, is that one of the leading Republican sort of strategists, Karl Rove, who, it's really frank, he's a smart guy. I don't care for his politics, but he's a smart guy. Well, I'll never say he's dumb or anything. He he knows politics very, very well. He was saying, he doesn't care for Trump, he doesn't care for Biden, and whatever political party picks a new face has a higher chance of winning. So I think that's a pretty, I don't disagree actually. So theoretically, if the Democrats stick with Biden and it ends up being Haley or DeSantis, theoretically, this could be your next president possibly. But we'll see. Out of these five, myself, I would probably go for Christie, but he's got a lot of baggage he has to deal with, and he will never get through the Republican nomination process. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, you're talking about Trump, who has a whole bunch of charges against him. The Georgia thing looks pretty bad. The New York stuff is going on right now. Who knows? And if you guys are curious, I do care about politics very much, and I wish I could run. I actually can't. Literally, I can't. I was not born in the USA, so I am ineligible to be a U.S. president. You can read about it in my book. I'm just mentioning my book because if you if you guys don't know much about my story, it's very complicated, and so I share this, and I kind of talk about how to get through these kind of problems. I mean, this is one problem for me is I feel so frustrated when I watch these debates. I can't even run. Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Talking about life in the USA, which is a whole other topic. Evidently, beef prices are really, really high. And I didn't know this. We're having a drought. I knew we were having a drought, but I didn't know we're having a drought everywhere in the USA. So they're saying lowest rainfall in 1,200 years. Rising hay costs prompt many ranchers to cut herd sizes. So it's expensive. You're looking at like $8 a pound about. And I'd be curious what you guys are paying, because I think it depends on which market. So this is probably like more an average. And prices are going up. Moreover, the cost of cattle is going up, right? So it's just expensive to do these things. I was thinking about this, and this is something that, for those of you who care, and I care, but some people don't care about the planet, about sustainability, these kind of things. If actually we really cared about energy and water and all this stuff, we'd probably get off beef. But I mean, Americans love beef, right? And that's why I asked you guys in the beginning, are you price sensitive? If the price of beef were say $16, and then, for example, chicken were $5 a pound, would you just, would you still continue buying beef, or would you switch over to chicken because it's beef's too expensive? I'd just be curious your guys' thoughts on that. I've already shared my thoughts, and the issue with this is to me it's obvious. We're talking about climate change. You're seeing severe weather around the world. You're also seeing this. I know there's climate change deniers out there. I get it. But one thing I'll just mention to you is I always talk about movies. And why do I talk about movies? Why do I talk about books? Why do I talk about stories? Is because it takes imagination to see problems. It also takes imagination to solve problems, right? How can I say? If you live in just today and only today, you won't plan well for the future. And this talks about, for your financial security, for, sustainability of our economy, any number of things, is you need to be in a mindset to where not just living in today, but sort of predicting what's going to happen tomorrow. And why do I talk about movies? I'll just give you a couple examples here. Think about the movie Terminator. When that movie came out, it's basically the robots are going to take over the world in the future, and they'll come back and try to wipe us out, right? And it's not necessarily this is the, how can I say, the exact way it's going to happen, but it's capturing that milieu. So for example, in the 80s, we had a big surge in automation. I remember the auto workers were struggling. They were crap, our jobs are going somewhere else and robots are taking our jobs, right? This is kind of capturing in that. Or War Games is really about AI and weapons also. These are older movies, and I know for those younger viewers, you won't know these movies, but I'm saying it's imagination, thinking about problems before they occur. That's why you write stories. That's why you share these kind of things. Or Interstellar, which is I'm bringing this up because if you watch the beginning of the movie, which is absolutely fantastic, they actually basically say, hey, what happens if we can't live on our planet anymore because it's not a livable place because you got dust storms everywhere, right? Which is a very real possibility. I know for depending on where you live, you may have no idea about these kind of things, and I don't live in I think this might be a picture from Nebraska or something like that, but they were saying some of these places where they raise cattle, it used to be green and now it's all brown. And it's a real thing. And so I do care about sustainability because it's not just the economy, it's also with the planet. You want to have a system to where, you're not depleting your resources and you're creating a system that can last. It's interesting because talking about systems that can last, evidently Burger King is actually closing restaurants. So they said close 6 more, and they could close up to 400. So I haven't been to Burger King in years. I'm just being honest with you. I haven't. When I go to the USA, I'll tell you, Chipotle is probably my top choice for this kind of food. Fast food. It used to be Subway, but for whatever reason, I don't know. Subway kind of fell out of flavor. I prefer Chipotle over Subway. I'm just saying, like, types of this type of food. In terms of burgers, I would say I actually like Wendy's over McDonald's. I do, but I think McDonald's has better marketing, and also McDonald's has better chicken options. And then what else are we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about food. But point being, though, is that I wonder, though, at these kind of places, if the price of beef goes up considerably, if they're going to be raising their prices. And we saw an article the other day. It was about McDonald's, and they were saying that many middle and upper middle class people are trading down, essentially coming into McDonald's, right? So people are like, hey, I'm price sensitive. I'm going to start eating there. And in fact, the prices are too high at places like McDonald's to where the poorer people can't even afford it anymore. And I was actually shocked last time I was in the USA, like how expensive McDonald's was. Depending on what city you're in, you could be looking at anywhere from like $10 to $14 for a person for a meal. It's so ridiculous. For real, it's like, oh my God. Anyway, I just had to bring this stuff up because I personally think a person should be price sensitive, but who knows? Who knows if USA will ever get off the beef? And talking about trends also, I think if you want to make a lot of money these days, this is for real. Obesity drugs is going to be something that's going to be around for quite a while. Because the USA has a massive problem with that. And I saw that recently. It was like Eli Lilly got some sort of FDA approval, and there's these kind of drugs exist in the UK as well. So I'm not living in the UK. I know we have people in the community that do, and I'd love to hear your comments on that. But it was something to do with like how it's paid for, and it'll be more readily available there. And so it's a big market there for obesity medicine. Here in Korea, it's not really an issue. Although to be fair, this is just very real. Whenever my wife and I would go out in public and we look around and stuff like that, you'll notice like some of the high school kids, they're getting fat. So that part's very real. So among us older folk who still eat, just basically traditional Korean food here, or traditional, you say, quote, Asian food, Vietnamese food is also pretty healthy. But for many of the younger generation, all going fast food. I don't have to explain it to you. They're eating burgers and stuff like that. So. I don't know if this trend will reverse. We'll see because of prices. So, and there's another interesting story too I wanted to bring up, and we never talk about this, or we talk about it indirectly, but I didn't know that people are actually fighting back. You guys know that I complain all the time that USA politics is really dumb. However, there's a few states that had a really fascinating thing. It's right to repair. So Maine just voted on it, and they approved it, and this got 84% of the vote. For me, these are the kind of issues I wish that people would focus on. Oftentimes, many of the politicians will divert your attention to things that I consider to be, I'll just say, unimportant, or things that are not a direct economic impact on your life in a positive way that you should be thinking about. The right to repair, the basic idea is, for example, a car company. These days, it's hard to work on your car. It's all transmitted by computer, the diagnostics thing. I'm sure you guys know this stuff. And so, auto dealerships make a ton of money by, you taking it to the dealer. And so third-party, repair shops can't even diagnose your car because they don't have the equipment. They're complaining about stuff like, the diagnosis is done wirelessly, or whatever. They just don't have the equipment to do it. Moreover, this kind of bill would also be sponsored by like an AutoZone or Napa Auto Parts. So the idea, though, is that you make it illegal to make it so that you can't fix your own car, and so that going forward, cars made in the USA would have like standardized parts. So every car would have the same kind of way you put the tires on, and the same kind of way that you put the testing my car auto knowledge part vocabulary. I actually do know how a car works. I built a lawnmower when I was in high school. True story. That we had a class like in high school where you take apart a lawnmower and put it back together, and then the advanced class was take apart a motorcycle and put it back together. So piston, that's the word I was thinking about. Like you may have the same, piston sizes, etc. But standardized auto parts is actually really fascinating. Moreover, I guess California passed this kind of law as well. I was unaware of this stuff because I don't live in USA. And there are 4 states who are interested in this. So it's New York, Colorado, Minnesota, and now Maine. And the basic idea is like they're saying here. So if like your device, I think this might be the California law, but if your device is over $100, then manufacturers have to keep parts on and like documentation on how to fix the thing on hand for 7 years. The website iFixit was also a sponsor of this kind of stuff. But personally, I think this right to repair is a big deal. If you guys know, I'm sure you know, like it was funny, actually, this is a true story. My wife and I, we were sitting in a restaurant and there's these young kids talking about, innovation. They're like, what would be a great innovation is if phones had replaceable batteries where you could like, removable batteries where you could like take out the battery and put it in. And they thought they were all smart and stuff, right? not that they're wrong. They're just young, right? And for those, if for young people like scratching their head, what's Chris talking about? So there was a time when you could actually change your battery on the fly. You would actually carry spare batteries around that you would like open up your phone and just put in a new battery. And I used to have phones that did that, and actually several phones that did that. And then basically what happened was, I'm sure you know this, if you have like an Apple, and I'm not sure about Samsung's, I just don't have one. But with Apple, the battery's built in because they essentially want you to get a new phone when the battery dies. And it's really, really difficult to replace it, etc. So I think this right to repair stuff is pretty interesting. Moreover, evidently Apple is, I guess, backing Biden's like right to repair law. Who knows? I'm sure Apple's got some sort of inside, how can I say, like, they're probably writing the law to like at least benefit them a little bit. But Apple isn't necessarily getting everything that they want. This was actually also big news, and these kind of things you'll see from time to time. So this is over in Ireland, and if you don't know this, I'm just reading the headline here. Apple dealt blow at top EU court over 14.3 billion tax bill in Ireland. I was laughing because like when you see the amount of money that we're talking about, and this is why I always how can I say, rant about how U.S. politics is dumb, because like we don't talk about like to me, which is like really important stuff. I think right to repair is pretty important to your life. I think beef prices are important to your life. I think do big corporations pay taxes or not? How do we deal with when they have these tax shelter places like in Ireland, and then in places like Ireland, what do we do? Do we want this tax money or not? The basic gist of it though here is, did Apple get any special favors from Ireland that other tech companies didn't? I think that's sort of the core crux of it here. But you may or may not know this. A lot of tech companies, they put offices around the world, but Ireland's one of those places. And it's actually quite interesting for the people who, and we may have viewers who are in Ireland, their economy is actually, and jobs actually depend on these big companies there. So they've set up these tax incentives to do that. It's not so different in USA. Like, for example, when Amazon was looking for a second headquarters, there were essentially all these cities like trying to, say, hey, you come here, we'll give you free land. Hey, you come here, we give you free land. Come here, we'll give you, $1 million in tax break. Actually, a lot more than that, be billions. But this is something that I think that, I guess for the average American, they don't pay attention to, but, tax breaks for big corporations is a big deal. Right to repair is a big deal. Beef prices, this kind of stuff, what the Fed is doing. And if you watch the Republican debate, they're just talking about whose kid is on TikTok, and that was the highlight. And for real, that's what they were arguing about. Moreover, this is actually probably one of the biggest news that you won't hear about anywhere else. Just to be honest, it won't be big headlines, but I do think it's a very fascinating one. So this is coming from the Census Bureau, which you don't talk about that often. They're predicting that the USA population will peak, meaning that it'll top out and then start to decline in 2080. Now, obviously, that's a long ways away. I'm just saying so no one knows the future 100%. And a lot of it actually is dependent on what do we do with immigration policy. Do we have, zero immigration, low immigration, high immigration, etc. But at least according to trends that we see today, we may see population, go down. I think they're saying the peak will be around 370 million people. which is kind of interesting. And then they're saying by 2100 it'll go down to 366 million people. This is actually something too that I've talked with a lot of people about and just extensively. My personal opinion on this stuff is that there are a finite amount of resources on the planet, particularly water, clean drinking water. And so there's just only so many people that can live in only, certain parts of land. Like you have a city, or well, the example of Israel, Gaza, there's just too many people fighting over a small portion of land, right? And you could talk about any number of places. And so one of the things that you would want to do eventually is make it so that we don't have like these densely populated areas and then sparsely populated, other areas. You kind of want to spread out population if you could. So work from home and modern transportation would do that. And just again, going back to the beef prices, this is only so many people that you can have, like, and also maintain your quality of life. So I'm not saying you need to cut immigration. I'm not saying to increase it. I'm just saying keep an eye on this stuff because I think it's fascinating. This is something that also happens with developed societies as the more developed you become, the less children that you have. This is a big issue actually in Korea, Hong Kong, Japan, many of the East Asia, many of the modern developed economies have this issue where like the population isn't really growing, but in fact it is shrinking. And then you have an issue where you have too many old people, not enough young people. So it is something that it's extremely complicated, right? And so anyway, I could go on this forever and ever, but this is like a college lecture kind of stuff. But it's something that I just wanted to bring up because I think it's interesting. Moreover, talking about life in the USA, as I mentioned in the intro, evidently the American life expectancy is at a 30-year low. I've known about this for a while, and this is sort of why we live here. But and this is something I just want to stress with you. You do not have to be average, okay? And this could be for money, this could be for health, this could be for happiness. Don't try to be average, especially if in USA. I would say definitely go beyond that. And literally, I'll just mention my book again. That's kind of what my book's about. Like I lived around a bunch of average people growing up, and I never wanted to be average, and I don't want to be average, and I don't want you to be. I mean, you want to aim higher because, frankly, in USA, the bar is really low these days. And that's what it is, and I understand it's not. I don't know if that's a happy message or not, but but I say, when you look around you, and if you feel like other people around you aren't going anywhere or are all struggling, etc., find better friends. And maybe it sounds mean, but that's my philosophy on this stuff. Is I don't want to hang out with people that just want to be average, and so part of my philosophy, and extended read my book, but is just like. I get up, I work hard every day, I try to learn something new all the time, and I want to better myself every single day. And so I hope that you tune this channel, that you better your knowledge about the world. And that's why I bring up multiple topics all the time, because one of the things why I don't freak out, people always mention that I'm calm all the time, is because I'm not surprised by stuff, right? So if I see beef prices are expensive, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so shocked, I can't believe it. Or or I see what's going on in the Republican debate. Oh, okay, they're a bunch of idiots. Oh, okay, I'm so surprised. I'm not, because I've seen this stuff before, and the more you understand the world, the less freaked out you are. Usually what happens, the people who get freaked out, the people go out and they riot and do all this stuff, is because they don't understand the world going on around them. They just don't understand it, and they see these sort of negative things happen, and they see that their life is not going in the right direction, and because they don't understand why it is going that way, all they can do is just kick and scream like a baby. And I mean that just in all sincerity, because that's essentially how babies behave. If they can't understand the world, all they can do is kick and scream. They have no way to express their frustrations. They just kick and scream. Just simple example would be if it looks like, just for example, that AI is coming for your job, you got to be thinking, okay, crap, I see it coming, so I need to keep upping my job skills, or I need to figure out how to make AI, etc. Right? So this is why you want to be smart about the world, be smart about your money, and be smart about your life. So I know I can talk extensively for these kind of things, and hence I read a book. I know I'm talking about a book today, but anyway, I do appreciate your time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any one of these stories, and I'll catch you in the next video.